Debate, man's greatest tool of war. Whether it's a political debate, a familial dispute, or just a bunch of friends arguing over media, it's no secret that people love to debate and argue over a multitude of different topics. A debate can turn even the most basic of subjects into a heated, fierce, and violent battle to determine right and wrong. So what's the subject of today's debate? Well, it's been a very long-running one, and it's not one with an easy, straightforward answer. It's the years-long debate over a certain ability in a certain Sonic fan game, one that sounds like this.
Are you ready?
So, before we delve into anything else, what is the Thok? Well, the Thok is Sonic's double jump ability in SRB2. Upon pressing the jump button again after jumping, Sonic will shoot forward at incredible speed in the direction he's currently facing. This can be useful for quickly changing direction on the fly, skipping short sections of levels, or just going fast. It's been Sonic's ability since the earliest versions of SRB2, specifically SRB2 Christmas, which was the second 3D build of SRB2 released in 1999, so the Thok is almost as old as I am. The debates regarding the Thok aren't nearly as old, but they've certainly been around for quite a while. Now, because the Thok has been around for an eternity, and 2.2's release brought a lot of new attention to SRB2, the Thok has been subjected to more scrutiny than ever before, with a lot of its criticism being centered around the Thok's learning curve. You see, the Thok was never an easy ability to master. The various advantages I listed moments ago all require a decent understanding of SRB2 and some level of skill to execute correctly. If you're new to SRB2, you'll probably find yourself Thoking into undesirable locations, mostly death pits. Hell, earlier versions of SRB2 even made sure to point out that Sonic wasn't a good choice for new players, something that was removed from 2.2's character select for whatever reason. So, all of this makes the case for keeping the Thok shaky at best, right? Well, new Sonic Team Jr. would say so, and because of that, Sonic Team Jr. has already gone through the trouble of preparing a brand new ability to replace the Thok. Behold, the future of SRB2! Yeah, what the fuck is going on here exactly? Well, this document here provides an explanation, I think. It's not all that great, so I'll do the best I can to explain it. Upon pressing the jump button in midair, Sonic will enter a charging state. While charging, at least 3 different things can happen. Upon touching a floor or water, Sonic will dash diagonally and upwards, and perform the ability again if he wants. If you release the button in midair, Sonic will perform a double jump with a short horizontal boost. Lastly, if you touch a wall while charging, Sonic will begin charging a spin dash on the wall and can launch himself a short distance upwards. So you're probably thinking, why the fuck does this ability need to be 3 trillion different things at once? Which is a perfectly reasonable stance to take. I'm on the side of keeping the Thok, personally, and weird, complex, quote-unquote solutions to the problem aren't doing a good job of changing my mind. Of course, that's why the creator of the document put in this fun Q&A section to explain why this ability is the one, true, and only solution to the Thok debate. So let's go down through this list and go over each question. Well, each question that's relevant to the debate anyways. Question 1. Why give Sonic such a complex ability? New players won't be able to use it well at all. I actually strongly believe the opposite. New players are drawn to things that are fun to experiment with, fun to practice, and have lots of depth. Making an ability that is extremely simple and extremely powerful is insulting the intelligence of the average player. When Super Mario 64 came out, millions of children learned how to pull off all kinds of new moves with Mario, like the triple jump and the wall jump, and the game was beloved despite the new complex moveset. The word you're looking for here is intuitive, my brother in Christ. Also, that first sentence is just like your opinion, man. What's your idea of experimentation exactly? Jumping around and mashing double jump until something new happens? Not to mention, how are you going to explain all this in this tiny ass space? Hell, what would you even call it? I can't think of a good combination of words that succinctly describes this ability. And wait, you think simple gameplay is insulting my intelligence? Let me explain something to you, and this may be coming completely out of left field, but Kirby Air Ride. Yep, I haven't talked about this before now, but Kirby Air Ride is my favorite game of all time. It's a beautiful, shining example of great game design, especially City Trial. Now, you might be asking yourself, Sandwich, what in the flying fuck does this have to do with SRB2 and the Thok? Well, Kirby Air Ride's design prides itself on one thing: simplicity. The entire game is controlled with two buttons, the control stick and the A button. The control stick is used to control your air ride machine, and the A button is used to stop and charge up a boost. Now, this all seems too simple to be fun, right? You're so wrong, it's not even funny. You can rapidly wiggle the control stick to perform a quick spin, which can be used to attack other players. The A button also allows Kirby to inhale enemies and use a variety of copy abilities. But what if I also told you the quick spin can be used to evade enemy attacks? How about the fact that every air ride machine has a completely unique playstyle, such as Slickstar's lack of friction offering a unique control style, or Turbostar's driving style being designed around drifting, or Swervestar's inability to turn without charging, or even all of the wheelies, which control entirely differently from the normal stars that make up a majority of the machine roster. And who could forget City Trial? Power-up patches, anyone? There's no objectively best set of power-up patches to collect. Sometimes you don't want certain patches for certain reasons. Why would I want weight if the stadium event is high jump? Or why would I want charge if my machine is the wagon star, which can't charge up? Or what about... I think I've gone on long enough. The point is, simple gameplay does not always insult your intelligence. Simple design can often hide layers upon layers upon layers of depth and fun you would have never expected. Does the Thok offer any of this? Well, not really. But it's also not unnecessarily complicated and unintuitive for no reason either. On the topic of simplicity concealing depth, Sonic's Cannon 2D abilities aren't stunning examples of complexity either. In fact, both of them seem to be designed with the same simple design philosophy in mind. In all of the official classic Sonic games, Sonic has exactly two double jump abilities: Sonic 3's Insta Shield and Sonic Mania's Drop Dash. The Insta Shield is interesting. Pressing the jump button again in mid-air gives Sonic this brief few frames of invulnerability. You can also use this as an attack against enemies and bosses, giving you a wider hit radius than your standard jump. However, this ability is overridden with any of the three shield abilities when any of those shields are obtained. I find the Insta Shield useful for making some of Sonic 3's more annoying bosses much more bearable, such as Hydra City Act 2's boss, for example. Although, the game doesn't really give you a clear idea of what the Insta Shield does right away, so it may take some fiddling around to figure out what it actually does. Or you could have read the manual, but who does that? Whoever did that? As for the drop dash, it's super simple. Pressing and holding jump in mid-air allows you to charge a spin dash. In the air. It allows for all sorts of fun with momentum and slopes, and can easily aid in keeping your speed once you master it. I personally love the drop dash, although I can see why it wouldn't be all that useful within the context of SRB2. Next, don't even attempt to compare Mario 64 to SRB2. Apples to oranges. Mario 64's controls are designed around two things: the analog stick, which at the time was an entirely new and innovative addition to a controller, and the Z button that's uniquely placed in the back of the Nintendo 64 controller. Mario has a few jumps that are dependent on what directions you hit on the analog stick, such as the side flip, and a few new moves that involve the Z button, such as the backflip, the long jump, and the slide kick. And if you're a kid in 1996 and are just using a Nintendo 64 controller for the first time, of course you're going to learn a lot of new moves very quickly. You're just fiddling around with a new shiny toy with all these new buttons you've never seen on a game controller before. This is also likely how you learn to use the C buttons to adjust the camera. Mario 64 was Nintendo's flagship title for the Nintendo 64, so it doesn't take a genius to see why Nintendo would try to make as much use of their new controller as possible. This is new technology we're talking about here, people. The future of gaming is here! While Mario 64's deep and complex move pool rewards using and learning about the analog stick and the other new additions to the Nintendo 64 controller, New Sonic Team Jr.'s... You know what, I'm just gonna call this ability the Breakfast Sandwich. Don't ask why. I'd thought of this name up on the spot, and by God, I'm gonna use it. Anyway, SRB2's Breakfast Sandwich rewards... double jumping until you discover a new use for it? That doesn't sound very intuitive, or interesting. There's no incentive to experiment with this ability. Unlike Mario 64, which had the Nintendo 64 controller with all those new buttons to try, there's just a jump button that you press twice, and it does something. Or at least, that's what I'm getting from this. I don't really have that much information to work off of. New Sonic Team Jr. / Kart Crew has a nice habit of showing like one gif of something new that doesn't explain jack shit about what the fuck you're supposed to be looking at, and then they just kind of expect you to go, wow, great job guys, I like it, without asking too many questions, but I digress. Oh, and by the way, if you somehow weren't convinced that new Sonic Team Jr.'s argument is objectively correct and you should support it at all costs no matter what, don't worry, this screen cap of a smug, passive-aggressive Discord post will hopefully change your mind. Question 2. What's wrong with the Thok? I don't think it should be removed. There are a large number of arguments for removing it. 1. The Thok turns Sonic, who should be a well-rounded character for newcomers, into a character that is outclassed by all other characters when it comes to navigating obstacles and exploring levels. 2. The Thok is far too simple, making it not very rewarding to experiment with and master. 3. New players almost always launch themselves into danger with the Thok, overshooting their intended location and losing control of Sonic entirely. This causes them to avoid using the move unless they stick with the game for a long time. 4. The Thok does not play nicely with momentum conservation like the 2.3 Excel Momentum Physics prototype. Instead of being forced to abuse the shape of the terrain to build up speed, the Thok skips straight to an incredible speed with no effort needed. Alright, this one's a doozy, so bear with me here. First of all, in what fucking universe was Sonic ever a well-rounded character for newcomers? Sonic was always the most basic character on the roster. He never had any options for vertical movement, and even when the official Sonic games went 3D, Sonic was given a homing attack and a light dash. And while both of them could be used to gain vertical height, they're very situational in that regard. Only a few spots in both Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 use these abilities for vertical movement. Granted, Adventure 2 does add the bounce to Sonic's arsenal, but it's still not the most incredible tool for gaining height. The breakfast sandwich just gives Sonic more tools than he actually needs. Sonic should be designed as the intended experience for the game, which is why in the classic Sonic games, Sonic can't really skip much of the platforming with just his given abilities. He's not supposed to. He's designed so that you see and experience all the hard work the developers spent years of their lives programming and testing. Sonic's purpose isn't to let you go exploring and skip everything. That's what Tails and Knuckles are for. Secondly, yeah, of course the Thok doesn't play nicely with new players. It never did. Again, earlier versions of SRB2 stated on the character select screen that Sonic wasn't a good choice for beginners. I already discussed this earlier in the video, so let's move on. And last, oh boy, the controversial Excel Momentum branch. It's an official new Sonic Team Jr. prototype containing the work-in-progress physics changes planned for the upcoming SRB2 2.3. This document must be outdated by now, as the version of Excel Momentum I have nerfs the Thok to the point where it's practically useless. Like, come on, look at this thing. There's more than enough to talk about regarding the Excel Momentum build, so I've decided to hold off on most of it for this video. This video is specifically about the Thok debate. The physics debate is an entirely different beast, and I think it can wait just a little bit longer. Question 4. If the Thok is so difficult to use, why not just play as Tails or Knuckles? You and I both know Sonic will always be the most popular of the three starting characters. Newcomers won't pick Tails or Knuckles in their first run as often as they will pick Sonic, and that is unavoidable. That's very much true, actually. However, the first option on the character select screen isn't actually Sonic alone. It's Sonic and Tails. So, whose fault is it that the players are having trouble navigating the game's levels exactly? Certainly not the developers, as the first option is far better tailored for new players than Sonic alone. Because, you know, Tails can pick you up and carry you over shit. So, we should remove the Thok because people are stupid and choosing the hardest option first? That's not a design issue, that's just new players making stupid mistakes and facing consequences for it. A better idea would be to do a better job of communicating Tails' aid to the player. The prompt that appears when Tails is available to pick up Sonic is oddly small. Plus, Tails has to basically be standing directly inside Sonic to even be nice enough to offer Sonic his help. Maybe try making it so that Tails can pick up Sonic from just a little bit further away? Alternatively, you could also just bring back that handy descriptor text from pre-2.2 that warned you about Sonic being a bad choice for beginners. Granted, that won't stop new players from picking Sonic alone, but if they can't be bothered to slow down and read, then that's not your fault or your problem, developers. But, unfortunately, this is new Sonic Team Jr. we're talking about, so we can't have simple solutions to simple problems. Question 4. Shouldn't Sonic be the fastest character? He needs the Thok in order to do that. It's not Sonic unless he's the fastest. The feeling of speed and swiftness with Sonic should be felt not only by those who are used to the Thok, it should also be felt by first-time players. Unfortunately, because the Thok is so difficult to get a handle on, especially when combined with the current physics, new players frequently avoid using the Thok and instead play the game slowly and methodically in order to avoid obstacles. That's not the way Sonic should be, and there are plenty of other ways to make him feel fast. Jesus Christ, where do I even begin with this one? Well, I guess it's about time I discussed a very important little facet of the classic Sonic games. It's something that's an overlooked but highly integral piece of classic Sonic's game design, and it was instrumental in making Sonic the cultural icon he is today. You see, Sonic's gameplay is not about going fast, it's about using speed as a reward for skilled players. Anyone playing a classic Sonic game for the first time probably won't experience the speed you want them to because they're not supposed to. A new player will probably struggle their way through Green Hill and only experience small bursts of speed throughout the zone, while an experienced player will quickly blow through each act in a minute or less. A better example can be found in Sonic 2's Aquatic Ruin Zone. Aquatic Ruin Zone's 2 acts are split into a top half and a bottom half. One is above ground and the objectively faster route, while the bottom half is underwater and therefore slower and more treacherous. A new and inexperienced player will probably miss the swinging platform at the start of Act 2 and fall into the slower underwater half, while a more seasoned player will likely be aware of this platform and ride it to the faster top half, allowing them to experience more of Sonic's incredible speed and momentum. This type of design rewards playing levels over and over again to learn to avoid hazards and discover the fastest route through a stage. Players shouldn't be able to just pick up a new game and be spoon-fed an easy solution to every problem. They should have to sit down and really invest themselves into mastering the game and overcoming its challenges. Take Pizza Tower, for example. The first floor of the tower is easy enough, until you get to Pepperman. Pepperman, and Pizza Tower's bosses in general, are much more difficult and punishing than the main stages. New players will spend close to an hour or possibly longer grinding out the fight and learning how to deal with each of the boss's attacks until they win, while an experienced player can tear through the fight without getting hit once, earning a P rank, the highest possible rank you can achieve, in the process. Most players like a good challenge, and making SRB2 easier like this will risk making it too easy, and therefore losing its lasting appeal. I don't think I would have stuck with this game for as long as I did if it wasn't challenging and encouraging me to really sit down and learn it. Additionally, swapping out speed as a reward gameplay with go fast head empty gameplay is oddly similar to the path the official 3D Sonic games went down as the boost formula took hold over the series. The boost formula is often criticized for being boost to win and losing a lot of what made the earlier Sonic games so special by just giving away go fast button, instead of having the player earn that speed through skill. Is new Sonic Team Jr. making the mistakes of their father, Sonic Team Sr.? We can only hope that they don't. So, how does this factor into the Thok? Well, remember how the Thok wasn't beginner friendly and turned off new players? Well, I think that's kind of the point. The Thok, being difficult to use and master, meshes the speed as a reward gameplay that the classic Sonic games are renowned for. New players need to sit down and learn how to use the Thok effectively. The Thok is usually avoided because they, as new players, haven't figured out how to use it yet. The idea here isn't to interfere with the learning experience and hold the player's hand through the game. The idea is to keep your hands off and let the player experience and master the game at his or her own pace. Wow, that was a long rant. But I think I made myself clear. The new ability, or the breakfast sandwich, is a poor solution to the Thok's problems. It's a stupid solution concocted by people who have no clue what made the classic Sonic games so good in the first place, and an attempt to appeal to people who probably won't play the game more than once and don't really care that much about Sonic anyway. It's also very much the canary in the coal mine for new Sonic Team Jr.'s approach to game design. Who needs simple and practical solutions to problems when you can just overcomplicate and duct tape a billion ideas together into one big Frankenstein's monster of an idea? But Sandwichface, you might say. If you're so smart, why don't you come up with a better idea? Okay, fine, here's my idea. Give Sonic the homing attack. It's the Thok without the ability to spam it and even aids in platforming by making it harder to miss enemies and springs in the ground. What? Don't look at me like that. This entire debacle is making me understand why Sonic Team gave Sonic a homing attack in the first place. Anyway, that'll be all for today, folks. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Discord in the description below if you want to see more videos like this one. Peace out, and long live the Thok.